August 22nd, 2005, Liverpool, New York. A frantic wife calls 911. She believes her husband has barricaded himself in their bedroom, and she can't get a response. When police arrive, they break down the bedroom door and find David Castor dead of an apparent suicide, killing himself with antifreeze. When police think it's an odd scene, they meticulously gather evidence from the home and eventually understand that there isn't one dead husband, there are two. And when this woman is around, no one was safe. This is the story of Stacey Castor, Tainted Love and Cocktails. Hey y'all, I'm Chris Calvert.
And I'm her husband, Rob Potter. Welcome to Hitched to Homicide.
For better or worse.
Till death do us part.
Welcome back, everybody.
Yes, welcome in to our friends in Uganda.
Uganda.
Yes, Keol.
Nicely done.
Yep.
Welcome, Uganda.
Yes, exactly.
Well, wherever you're listening, be sure to like, rate, review, subscribe.
Yes.
You can watch us on YouTube.
Yeah.
Got a nice little growing audience over there.
Yes, we do.
You can also join the In-Laws and Outlaws, our closed Facebook group. You got to answer some questions.
Yep.
I'm going to harp on it. I haven't done this in a long time.
Yeah.
You got to answer the questions. There's a whole queue of people in there
I know.
who haven't answered the questions, and I hang on to them for a little bit.
Yep.
So this is just a little service announcement. If you invite your friends into the In-Laws and Outlaws, they also have to answer the questions.
Exactly. And I have a little surprise for the In-Laws and Outlaws when we get to bless your heart today.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Sounds good.
All right.
That sounds good. I like a little suspense in a true crime podcast.
Yeah.
Well, this week's case is really interesting.
Like the others weren't.
Well, I'm just saying the whole time I was researching, I kept thinking, really? Really? Like, because you know how killers think they're so smart?
Sure.
Well, if someone wasn't dead in this podcast, I'd say bless her heart.
Oh, no.
But since it's so much more than that, we're going to talk about her in depth, and she made it into an entire episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But honestly, if it hadn't ended in death, we would have been saying, bless your heart.
Okay. I can't wait to hear this.
Yeah.
All right.
Before I get started today, let me thank some sources. Oprah Daily, Wikipedia, ABC News, 2020's Fatal Flaw, All That's Interesting, Murderpedia, The Buffalo News, the Ithaca Journal, and the White Plains Journal News.
All right. Well, you ready?
I am.
Okay, let's do it.
Stacey Ruth Daniels is born on July 24th, 1967 in Clay, New York. It's a small town, about 60,000 people, just north of Syracuse.
Okay.
Not a whole lot about her early life, but her mother said that Stacey was very intelligent and always wanted to be an attorney or a paralegal.
Okay.
I guess all mothers think that their children are brilliant.
Yeah. My mom thought I would be a doctor, but that didn't work out.
Well, yeah.
A doctor, musician. Let me see.
And I'm just saying, Stacey was never going to be an attorney or a paralegal.
Okay. All right.
She chose a life of something else instead.
All right. Keep going.
In 1985, when she's 17, she meets Michael Edward Wallace. He's about 6 years older than she is. And these two fall in love immediately.
No.
Stacey thought Michael was her true love, and it was love at first sight.
Okay.
Quote, Michael's the love of my life. I knew 5 minutes after I met him that I was going to marry him. End quote.
I actually know that feeling.
I hope you don't know this feeling
No,
because
I'll stop right there.
she has said some things that aren't really true.
Okay. All right.
But I know that you love me in a way that doesn't want to put me in an early grave.
Yeah.
Even though when you load the dishwasher, I think you're trying to put me into an early grave.
Yeah, I don't do it the way it's whatever. Okay, moving on.
There are other married women out there who are nodding with me right now. There's just a way to load the dishwasher so everything gets clean.
Well, as long as it fits.
Yeah. That's not how it works. But okay, I digress.
If it fits, you must acquit.
No,
Okay, right.
it is not O.J. Simpson. It's just an orderly way.
All right. Okay, moving on.
The couple married on April 7th, 1990, and they had their first daughter, Ashley, in 1988. And then 1991, they had a second daughter, Bree.
Okay.
And I realize that's kind of out of order. They got married in 1990. They had their first daughter, Ashley, in 1988. So maybe they had her before they got married. Don't know, but I just wanted to go by the actual dates that I found in the research.
Sure.
Quote, I knew from the minute Ashley was born, my whole reason for being here was to take care of her. End quote.
Okay.
Now, Michael worked for an ambulance dispatch company, and Stacey worked nights as a mechanic. Stacey complained that Michael drank too much and that they had no money, even though they both had full-time jobs. And they were actually on different schedules. He worked during the day. She seemed to work at night.
And she was a mechanic?
That's what I read. She was a mechanic.
What kind of mechanic?
I think from everything that I found, although it didn't say it specifically, I think she was a mechanic for the same ambulance dispatch company that he worked for.
It's interesting that she's a mechanic.
Yes, she was.
Well, and especially during that time period, late 80s, 80s.
Early 90s.
Early 90s, yeah. Like, there wasn't a whole lot of women mechanics.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
But of course, ladies, we can do whatever we want.
I totally believe that.
He's not sexist. I will take up for him.
Yes. No, it's just during that time frame,
Yeah, it seems a little odd, right?
Yeah.
She's a mechanic.
Yeah.
Good for her.
No, I think it's cool.
Yeah, good for her.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they weren't making enough money and they were really struggling. And according to Stacey, Michael was very close to their youngest daughter, Bree. So in response to him showering Bree with all this attention, Stacey decided she was going to become best friends with their oldest daughter, Ashley.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to stop here and say, I've been to tons of therapy. I totally think everybody needs to be in therapy. When I was a single mom, I went to therapy to figure everything out. You don't want to be your children's best friend.
No.
You want to be your child's parent.
Exactly.
You could be friends with them when they're older.
Right.
But when they're growing up, be their parent.
Yep.
Set the boundaries. That's what I learned from therapy.
Yep.
And now I've passed it along to you, and you don't have to pay $150 an hour to hear it. So there it is.
There you go.
Stacey and Michael grow apart. And in spite of their closeness with their children, it was also rumored that they were each having affairs, their own affair.
Okay.
11 years after they marry, Michael starts feeling sickly. And by the end of 1999, he was unsteady on his feet. He would cough, and he always seemed like he was swollen. He was sick during the holidays in December that year, and his family wanted him to see a doctor. And according to his daughter, Ashley, quote, he was having a hard time walking, and he was having a hard time talking. And one time he sat up and just vomited across the coffee table and laid back down and went to sleep like nothing ever happened, end quote.
Sounds like my college days. I'm just kidding.
Now that's a Christmas you're not going to forget.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But he's really sick. And Ashley, who at the time, she's only 11, she's at home alone with her father on January 11th, 2000. She notices that he seemed like he was feeling bad, but she didn't think anything of it. Her father would die later that day, January 11th, 2000. He never saw a doctor for his illness or his symptoms. He was 38 years old.
Wow.
So young.
Yeah. And they didn't question that?
Well, doctors tell Stacey that her husband died of a heart attack.
Okay. At 38, and he was probably in decent health.
I think he was all of those things.
Huh.
And Ashley felt really responsible. She's only 11 years old, but she feels responsible for her dad's death because she saw him like laying there and just thought that he felt bad, but she didn't do anything. Now, while Stacey takes the doctor's word for the cause of death, Michael's sister thinks it's hinky.
Sure.
And she wants an autopsy done on her brother.
Okay.
And Stacey refused, saying she thought the doctors were right about the heart attack.
Of course she did.
Of course she did. So Stacey Castor quietly moved on and collected her husband's $55,000 life insurance policy.
Well, there's some motivation.
Yeah, what's the Monopoly thing? Pass, go, collect $200.
Yeah, exactly.
Collect $55,000.
Wow.
The next year, she meets David Castor. David was born on June 12th, 1957. He was a divorcee who owned and operated his own heating and cooling company, Liverpool Heating Incorporated.
Okay.
David had previously been married for 27 years.
Wow.
In 1990, he has a near-fatal ATV accident with a closed head injury. And after this, his personality changed, according to his son. Now, I've heard this before. People who have like a bad accident, motorcycle, ATV, car accident, if they have a closed head injury, sometimes it changes their personality.
Yeah, I've actually heard people that all of a sudden they can speak another language. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Honey, if I have a closed head injury and I come out speaking some other language, you're going to know something's up. She actually works for the CIA and I didn't know it. She's not American.
Yeah.
Just kidding, CIA. Don't listen to this. I'm an American. I'm already on enough watch lists for all the research I do for my books.
Yeah, exactly.
But his personality has changed. I mean, his son had said he turned into a different person. And some of his bad traits just got worse, and he divorced his wife. 2 years later, he meets Stacey Wallace through mutual friends.
Do we know what those bad traits were, though? I mean...
Like, I think he was quick to anger.
Okay.
No filter. Like, he really spoke his mind.
Yeah.
Didn't really care about other people's feelings.
Gotcha. Okay.
No sugarcoating.
Yeah.
Basically me without a closed head injury.
It's not true. It's not true, is it, Scotty? No.
When it comes to business, Chris is usually all business.
That I can attest to.
That's true.
Yep.
That is true.
Yep.
If we're here to do business,
Yep.
I'm ready. Let's do business.
There's business and there's pleasure.
That's right. That's right. But she meets him, and these two get married in 2003, and her two girls get a new stepfather.
Okay.
And the marriage seems rock solid at first. David was driven. He made money. And according to Stacey, quote, he was support and strength and security to me, end quote.
Okay.
Well, I imagine this is a man who owns his own business.
Sure.
He's very driven.
Yeah.
A couple years after these two marry, David's father passes away. And that personality change that he had after his accident, well, sometimes he had a hard time dealing with the tough things that would come up in his life.
Okay.
So when his father passed away, he kind of had, it was like another gear that he went into.
Right.
And on top of all of this, Rob's going to be able to relate to this one. He had a hard time dealing with the two teenage girls in the house.
No. Say it's not true.
I got to tell a quick story.
All right.
Because before Rob and I were married, he was like, hey, what can I help you do? And I'm like, dude, can you drive carpool tonight? Yeah, sure, I'll drive carpool. I gave him the keys to the SUV because he had a little sports car. You're not driving carpool in that. You got to be in my SUV.
Yeah.
He picks up these girls and they are screaming and talking over each other. And they had on so much Bath and Body Works spray.
Yeah, yeah.
He was like choked out. He comes back to the house and he looked at me and he said, I'll do lacrosse. I'll do basketball practice I'll do whatever you want. Don't put me in a car with 7 little girls, 7 teenage girls again.
I still have PTSD.
He has a little bit of PTSD from it. Because he came in, no kids, thrust into having teenagers.
Single guy. I always joke and say I never really understood how uncool and old I was until I had kids.
Oh, we're so uncool. I think the older we get, the cooler we are getting in our adult children's eyes.
Or maybe they just kind of accept it.
Or either that or they just ignore us.
Yeah, they roll their eyes and go, okay, yeah, they're old.
My point is...
And yet we digress.
My point is he's having a really hard time dealing with these teenage girls in the house.
Yeah.
He liked for them to follow orders, and sometimes they didn't. And this was a point of contention with the girls and with Stacey because she would take up for the girls.
Okay.
On August 22nd, 2005, at 2 p.m., Stacey calls 911 to say her husband has locked himself in their bedroom. He started at 5 a.m. the day before, following an argument, and he's not responding to his cell phone that's inside the bedroom, and she is in a panic.
Okay, that's weird to begin with, but okay.
She also tells police he didn't show up at work at the heating and cooling company. Stacey also works at the heating and cooling company. She's worried. So they'd had this fight. He locked himself in the bedroom. She assumed that he got up and left. Apparently he hadn't because he wasn't showing up for work.
Right.
Stacey tells the authorities he's depressed. His father had just passed away. And when the police arrive, Stacey is sitting in the front of her house in a lawn chair, just waiting for the police to show up.
Out there just hanging out, having a beer, having a cigarette.
Yeah, might as well sit out there and have smoke a Marlboro. I don't know.
It was a nice day.
Yeah. When they couldn't get David to answer the bedroom door or respond, Sergeant Robert Willoughby of the Onondaga County Sheriff's Department, he kicked down the door of the bedroom.
Okay.
Kicked it down.
Yeah.
Face down and surrounded by vomit, David Castor is dead.
Wow.
There's some brandy and 2 glasses and some cranberry juice. And one of the glasses has green liquid in it. Under the bed is an empty bottle of antifreeze.
Really?
That's the green liquid.
Okay.
Sergeant Willoughby watches Stacey scream, "He's not dead! He's not dead! He's not dead!" He's dead.
Yeah.
He is dead. Police take her to a neighbor's home, so she's not there when they remove his body. The coroner reports that David Castor committed suicide through a self-administered lethal dose of antifreeze or ethylene glycol. That's the bad stuff in antifreeze.
Right.
Ethylene glycol.
Right. That's why they always say, make sure your pets don't find antifreeze in the driveway.
It's very sweet smelling.
Yeah.
It's got a little bit of an alcohol taste to it.
Yeah.
That's from my research. I don't know personally.
Yeah.
But Stacey claimed that her husband had been depressed following the death of his father. But his ex-wife swore he would never kill himself. And David Castor had left his entire estate to his wife, cutting out his only son.
Oh, wow.
$300,000 worth of an estate.
Wow. And yeah, his son's out of it. And what year was this?
2005.
Okay, well, still, 300,000 was worth a little bit more than it is now. So
it is.
Yeah.
But the point I need to make is, had he really been cut out? Hold that thought.
I'm feeling some shenanigans going on here.
Yes. The police do a really fine job at this crime scene, taking nothing for granted. They searched everywhere in this house. And when they look in the kitchen trash can under a bunch of paper, they find a turkey baster.
Okay.
It's brand new.
Mm-hmm.
It smells of alcohol. It has that sweet alcoholic smell to it.
Okay.
And the police are trying to piece it all together. It really does feel hinky.
Yeah.
Because it's August. It's not turkey time. Most people aren't basting a turkey in the middle of the summer.
With sweet stuff.
With sweet stuff. It's brand new. It's a brand new turkey baster. It all feels really hinky to Detective Dominic Spinelli. What a great name.
It sounds like a character in a book.
And I've seen his interviews, and Dominic Spinelli, he's Italian.
Yeah. You think? With a name like Spinelli.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah, come on.
When they take everything to the lab, they find that inside the baster, there are traces of antifreeze. And on the tip of the baster is David Castor's DNA. But there are no fingerprints on the bulb of the baster.
Okay. Wait, his DNA was on the tip of it?
Yeah.
So, okay.
Hang on.
I'm lost.
Don't be lost, because what you're thinking is what it really happened.
So she just put it in his mouth?
Yes, hang on.
Okay, I'm hanging.
Hang.
Scotty's hanging.
What police do find is that David did indeed die of antifreeze poisoning. His DNA is on the rim of the glass with the antifreeze, but his fingerprints are not on the glass. Just his lips on the rim.
Okay.
No fingerprints from holding the glass.
So they've been wiped.
They've been wiped.
Yeah.
There are some fingerprints on the bottom of the glass. You want to know who those belong to?
Let me guess. Let me think. I are an educated man, so I'm going to say it's hers.
They're Stacey's fingerprints on the bottom of the glass in the bedroom, but only on the bottom. They begin to suspect Stacey Castor had engineered her husband's death, holding the glass up to his mouth, and then Stacey used the turkey baster to force feed him once he was too weak.
Wow, what a sweetheart.
She's shoving it down his gullet.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because if it was a suicide, then why use the turkey baster?
Yeah.
And if he did use the turkey baster, why throw it away in the trash, cover it with some paper, and then lock yourself in the bedroom?
Yeah.
Because the antifreeze jug was found under the bed. It's not like there's not evidence of antifreeze everywhere.
Well, the whole setup looks like somebody set it up.
You said a mouthful. The setup looks set up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Now, none of it adds up, but they don't have enough evidence to issue a warrant for Stacey's arrest. So they start asking around. Who were their friends and their family? What about the two daughters, Ashley and Bree? Their last name isn't Castor. It's Wallace. So Detective Spinelli says, let's talk to the girl's father.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, they can't, because Michael Wallace is also dead. Heart attack. And they subpoena his medical records, and they see that he died of this heart failure, but he had no history of heart disease. There was nothing to cause a heart attack. He was a healthy 38-year-old man who died of a heart attack.
And no autopsy.
And no autopsy.
Yeah.
And they see all the accounts of him feeling dizzy, feeling drunk. He's swollen.
Yeah.
It's all antifreeze poisoning symptoms.
Wow.
And they find out that Michael's sister wanted an autopsy, but Stacey refused, and he was buried without one. And under New York State, that law, it's her prerogative.
Right.
She's the wife. She doesn't have to have an autopsy.
Let's dig him up.
Ooh, that's called foreshadowing.
Am I getting good?
You are. You are. So here's this woman, Stacey Castor, with two dead husbands. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And even weirder is that Stacey buried David Castor right next to her first husband, Michael Wallace.
Some people collect, knickknacks and such. Good grief. She's collecting husbands and placing them side by side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The knickknacks are her headstones, and she's placing them side by side.
Wow. Once again, what a sweetheart.
What a sweetheart. But, it's interesting. When people have like knickknacks and prized possessions, they usually like to go, see them and touch them.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Detectives on the case ordered wiretappings on Stacey's house.
Wow.
They listened in on phone calls for any unusual conversations. They want to see if she says something that's incriminating.
Sure.
I mean, she might even confess to somebody. And in addition, they set up cameras overlooking her house and her husband's grave sites. Again, easy to do because they're buried side by side.
Yeah, she made it easy for him.
She did.
Wow.
The detectives think that if Stacey really and truly loved her husband, she would eventually visit their graves. They're right next to each other, makes it easy. Handy, right? I like to use that word. It's handy. Stacey never visited the grave sites of her late husband.
Wow.
Not once. The investigators think the only way to prove Stacey was responsible for both deaths was to have Michael Wallace's body exhumed.
There you go.
So they meet with the DA and the sheriff, and they decide to exhume the body of Mike Wallace. And it was pretty easy, apparently, to convince the judge. And because it's part of a criminal investigation, they did not have to get Stacey's permission, nor did they have to tell her it was happening.
Really? I didn't know that. Wow.
That's right.
Okay.
On September 5th, 2007, they exhumed the body. It's a small cemetery in Alaska, New York. They don't want her to even know that they're there exhuming this body. They keep it all very hush-hush.
Yeah, and if she never visits, I don't think they have to worry about
that.
She never
visits, and it's not like the groundskeeper is like, hey, I know you're here every Friday. By the way, they're taking one of your husbands away.
Yeah, exactly. Do you mind?
Yeah. And one of the investigators even said, quote, I wonder if he is saying, it's about time y'all showed up, end quote, which is exactly what I was thinking.
Right.
Yeah. And it just so happened that the same pathologist who did the autopsy on David Castor is the same one doing the toxicology and autopsy on Michael Wallace. He calls the authorities and says, quote, are you sitting down? He was loaded with crystals, methyl glycol poisoning.
Yeah, because that stuff sticks around forever, especially
Well,
in the
it
body.
forms crystal. What happens is, from what I understand, you ingest it, and in your kidneys and other organs, it causes these crystals to form.
Okay.
And then your body shuts down, and that's the end of it.
Wow.
So he's poisoned. And the toxicology screening ruled that Michael Wallace was also murdered by antifreeze poisoning.
Wow.
Ethylene glycol.
Isn't that a coincidence?
Such a coinky-dink.
Yeah.
Now, the autopsy also showed that there was no evidence of a heart attack or heart disease. And now Stacey has lost 2 husbands to antifreeze poisoning.
Let me go back to Wallace, the first one, when the doctor said heart attack. What did he base that on?
I think that he just had heart failure. I mean, he died.
Okay.
His heart stopped.
Okay.
He's laying on the couch.
Yeah, because I was thinking
and his heart stopped.
A heart attack or something like that. And if he doesn't have any history or any heart disease.
No.
Okay.
But his body was shutting down little by little because she's poisoning them over time. And then when they're not getting sick and dying fast enough, she's pushing it a little bit further.
Well, shame on that doctor for not looking into it a little bit more.
Well, here's the thing. I'm going to take up for him. It's a small town.
Yeah.
It's a small town. He had symptoms of being swollen. That could have been high blood pressure. That could have been, having fluid based on your heart working too hard.
Right.
I mean, there's all kinds of things. He was dizzy, all these things. And he refused to go to a doctor. So they never got to talk to him while he was alive about his symptoms or run any tests.
And if he was a small town GP, I mean.
Yeah. But now David Castor's death is considered a homicide and not a suicide.
Okay.
Now, all this time, they're listening in on everything that she has to say, everything Stacey has to say. They've tapped her phones. They're watching her like a hawk. And she's very nervous on the phone. Very nervous.
Okay.
But everything they have is circumstantial.
Right.
Everything they have against Stacey is completely circumstantial.
Okay.
So they bring Stacey in for an interview. They're going to shake the tree a little bit.
see if any peaches fall.
They're going to see if anything falls out. We're going to shake the tree, see what falls out. They're going to confront her with what they found out about her first husband, Michael, and his death, and the antifreeze that they found in his system.
Okay.
She does not understand when she walks into this interview that they have exhumed his body.
Oh, wow.
She is totally blindsided.
Clueless.
Yeah. And when they start asking her about David's supposed suicide, they ask her if she remembered which glass she brought into the bedroom. And she says, quote, "Well, when I brought in the antifreeze," then she stops herself.
Oops.
"I mean the cranberry juice."
Bless her heart.
Bless her heart. I told you. I told you.
All right, I can just forget the rest of my bless my heart.
Yeah. And they know at this moment they have her. So she says anti-free, F-R-E-E, not antifreeze.
Right.
Anti-free. And she stops herself, corrects it, and says, "Oh, no, it's cranberry juice." And you can see from the crime scene photo, there's some cranberry juice sitting there.
Right.
But Stacey's rattled. She says, "That's it. I'm done. I want my attorney."
Yep.
And they have enough for an arrest warrant, but they need a couple of days for the DA to sign off on it. And it's going to be 2 days too many. September 2007. It's her daughter Ashley's first day of college. The investigators came to her school. They're going to question her about her dad, Michael Wallace's death, and they tell her that he had been poisoned instead of having a heart attack. Now, this is a young lady who was 11 years old and thought that her father's murder was because of her.
Right.
And Ashley's upset, and she calls her mom because, remember, her mother is her best friend.
Right.
Stacey invites her to come home, and they're going to drink together. Stacey told her they'd been through enough. There was too much stress, and they needed to relax. And besides, Stacey was afraid she was going to miss her daughter's 21st birthday.
Okay.
And Ashley agreed because Stacey was not only her mother's best friend, but she's only 20. And this is a chance to forget about the deaths of her two fathers. She's underage. Might be nice to catch a cocktail.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes.
Oh, no.
Stacey buys vodka and invites her daughter over on September 17th, 2007. But after her mother made her a drink, Ashley felt tired.
Geez.
She wanted to go to sleep.
Wow.
And the next day, Stacey says, "Let's do it again." Tells her daughter, "Come on, Ashley, let's party again." So again, Ashley drank something that her mother gave her. She later recalled that it didn't taste good. Her mother had given her a straw and said, suck it down.
Wow.
And Stacey Castor instructed Ashley to put the straw at the back of her throat so she wouldn't taste it. It was vodka. It was orange juice. It was Ritalin, and it was sleeping pills.
Good grief. This woman is just insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just like the night before, the cocktail made Ashley tired. She went to her room to lie down, but this time, Ashley did not wake up.
Wow.
When her sister Bree tried to get her up the next morning, Ashley is unresponsive. The 911 call comes in. "My daughter Ashley has taken some pills. Something stuck in her throat. She drank an entire bottle of vodka. She's throwing up. She left a letter." And when EMS comes to take Ashley to the hospital, Stacey makes sure, "Take this letter. She left this letter. Take this letter with you."
Jeez. Yeah, thou dost protest a bit too much, I think. Okay.
Yeah. "I told you when Daddy died, it was all my fault. I love you, and everything I did because I love you. I didn't want to live like that."
Did she write it or did she type it?
It's typed.
Yeah, of course it is. Okay. I don't even know why I asked that.
It's touch and go, but it's odd to have a typed note.
Yeah.
It's a confession, and it's a suicide note, all in one. And it says, quote, "It wasn't you, it was me." It's written to her mother. She confesses to killing both her father and her stepfather. In this note, Ashley does. It wasn't you, it was me.
Wow.
The next thing Ashley knew, she was in the hospital, and a detective is sitting there at the corner of her bed. He tells her that the EMTs had found her with a typed suicide note that confessed to the murders of her father, Michael Wallace, and stepfather, David Castor.
Didn't expect her to live, did she?
And Ashley's like, she's a little foggy, but she's coming out of it and saying, "What the hell are you talking about?"
Yeah.
Yeah. "I didn't do any of these things that you're saying I did."
Yeah.
This suicide note rambled on for 750 words without punctuation, with lines like, quote, "None was ever supposed to know, but now they do, and they, THAY, think you did it, but you didn't. It was me," end quote.
So, okay, so she writing this, Stacey, is she writing this suicide note and misspelling to make it look like she was, drunk and this, or is Stacey just that stupid?
Bless her heart. Bless her heart.
So this wasn't an act.
This was not an act.
Oh, wow.
This is a deliberate thing.
Oh, jeez.
The most peculiar thing about the letter is the spelling of antifreeze.
I can't wait to hear this.
The writer had spelled it anti-free.
Oh, oops.
Just like she said it in her interview.
Man.
I put in the anti-free.
Oh, man.
The writer spelled it in the note.
Wow.
I realized there's anti-free in the system.
Yeah.
Poor Stacey, who works as a mechanic, didn't know it was antifreeze.
Yeah, it's usually right on the label. What the heck?
Again.
Yeah, I know.
Bless her heart.
Bless her heart. Good grief.
Now, the police are not surprised, but yet they are happy that Stacey Castor has pronounced the word anti-free during her interrogation that way, and also in the note.
Sure.
That very same day, police arrest Stacey Castor. Prosecutors argued that the note typed on the computer where Ashley, quote, confesses to killing Michael Wallace and David Castor had actually been written by Stacey.
Right.
But there's going to be a reason why. Hang on.
Okay. Hanging.
Ashley was 11 at the time of her dad's death. When she takes the stand, she testifies that she did not murder her father or her stepfather, and she didn't write this suicide note.
Okay.
And prosecutors, District Attorney William Fitzpatrick and Chief Assistant District Attorney Christine Garvey argue that David Castor's suicide had never made sense given the lack of fingerprints on the glass or container tainted with the ethylene glycol.
Right.
And the turkey baster found in the kitchen garbage can, both bearing ethylene glycol and his DNA, proving he was force-fed the antifreeze, that they shoved it down his gullet.
Wow.
They concluded that Stacey fed her husband David antifreeze for 4 days through the baster before trying to make it look like a suicide.
Okay.
She said that her husband got the idea to kill himself with antifreeze while both of them were watching a news report about Lynn Turner, who murdered 2 past lovers by using poison. To which I say, who got the idea?
Yeah.
Was it him? Was it her? The prosecutors presented evidence showing how antifreeze poisoning can be identified from the growth of calcium oxalate crystals in the kidneys, and that is what is seen in the examination of Wallace and David's bodies both.
Okay.
In addition, they said Stacey murdered her husbands partly to collect on their life insurance and their estates, and she had changed David's will to exclude his son by previous marriage from the money left to him by David.
Well, there you go.
She forged it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez. Stacey.
Now, here comes the fun part, because Rob is our resident computer geek in the house. He is the geek squad.
I am the geek
in
squad.
our house.
Yep. I'm the IT guy for
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's going to love this.
Okay.
On Stacey's computer, prosecutors had found several drafts of the suicide note Ashley was supposed to have written. And they argued that the, quote, suicide attempt had actually been a planned out murder attempted by Stacey, the mother, against her daughter, Ashley. And on the stand, Ashley retold how her mother had convinced her to drink the 2 nights before she almost died. She repeated that she only drank the, quote, nasty tasting beverage, end quote, because she trusted her mother.
Of course. That was her best friend.
She maintained her innocence of the 2 murders and the writing of the note. But here it comes. Stacey's defense team and her attorneys, Charles Keller and Todd Smith, they create reasonable doubt by poking holes in Ashley's version of what happened and could prove that she could have been capable of murder at age 11.
Okay. Oh, you got to love lawyers sometimes.
Yeah. They said Ashley's father, Michael Wallace, showed favoritism toward his younger daughter, Bree, instead of her. And this caused jealousy, and that was her motive for killing her father at such a young age.
Her mom was just going to throw her under the bus.
Oh, honey. Speed bumps everywhere through this woman's life, and she is definitely driving the bus.
Wow. God, I can't even imagine. This is your own child.
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
For her stepfather, they said his and Ashley's turbulent relationship was the cause of why she wanted to end his life. And in a final attempt to convince the jury that she was not guilty, Stacey Castor took the stand, where she is absolutely obliterated. On cross-examination, Fitzpatrick pointed out what he felt were flaws in Stacey's version of that night. She maintained that it was Ashley who murdered Michael and David, though she would not speculate about motives beyond implying that her daughter might be mentally ill.
Oh, wow.
Fitzpatrick pointed out that Ashley's mother had never sought therapy for herself, and that at 21 years old, Ashley exhibited no sign of mental illness.
Yeah.
And Fitzpatrick asserted that Stacey's behavior during David Castor's and Ashley's illnesses made no sense, given the years she had worked for a paramedics company. She did not seek care for Ashley for 17 hours and indicated that David Castor, who was staggering and vomiting and unable to stand, quote, looked okay, end quote.
She didn't think this out, did she?
Bless her
Oh,
heart.
I know.
Likewise, he questioned how a woman who had lost 2 husbands to poisoning would not seek help for a daughter in Ashley's state. And Fitzpatrick frequently shouted at Stacey, inspiring Stacey's defense attorney, Charles Keller, to frequently object and even request a mistrial. I have seen the videos of this.
Yeah.
He is pointing and screaming at Stacey.
Nice.
Look what you did. You killed your husbands, and then you tried to frame your daughter, your own flesh and blood. What is wrong with you? He's losing it in the courtroom.
Your Honor, I object.
Yeah. Prosecutors brought up another piece of damning evidence against Stacey when they cited having, here it comes.
Wait.
This is the part you're going to love.
Okay, let me do a drum roll. Ready?
Okay. They cited having heard, quote, typing sounds while Stacey was on the phone. During one of the wiretapped recordings presented, typing sounds can be heard while Stacey talks to a friend. And Stacey denied any memory of using the computer that day. And prosecutors argued that the typing sounds were those of one of the several drafts Stacey had written of the suicide note.
Yeah.
Ashley had already testified to having another witness to her mother working on the computer on something that she had hidden to prevent Ashley's seeing it.
Well, the other thing, too, about that, those documents, each of those documents are time-stamped.
That's it.
Yeah.
There was a timestamp from where she has written the draft of the suicide letter.
Let's hear it for the Geek Squad.
And she's on the phone, and they match those two times.
There you go.
They can hear her writing it. They match it to the computer.
I'm in the wrong profession.
You are a smart cookie. Smart cookie.
Yes, I'd like to thank the Academy.
Well, the thing is, this note had Stacey's fingerprints on it, but not Ashley's. She's trying to frame her daughter, and she's not even doing that well.
Yeah.
He told the jury about the word antifreeze being written in the suicide note as anti-free in 4 places in the note. And noted that Stacey had also said anti-free during her interview.
Right.
And Stacey Castor said she'd cut herself off while saying antifreeze because she had intended to say something else.
Sure.
Well, that doesn't do anything for the note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice try, Stacey.
Stacey's defense team presented a pharmaceutical expert in an attempt to cast doubt on Stacey having drugged Ashley. Professor Francis Jingo testified that after analyzing the traces of drugs and alcohol found in blood drawn from Ashley at the hospital, Ashley would have had to have ingested the alcohol, Ritalin, and several other drugs just several hours before she was being hospitalized, end quote.
Okay.
On February 5th, 2009, Stacey Castor was found guilty of second-degree murder in the poisoning death of her husband, David, and of attempted second-degree murder for overdosing her daughter, Ashley, with drugs and vodka.
Boom, boom, dun, 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 dun.
With a jam-packed courtroom, most were focused on Stacey. She, however, had her eyes closed as the verdicts were read.
Okay.
Her lead defense counsel, Keller, announced that she would appeal the verdict, including challenging the inclusion of evidence regarding the death of her first husband, for which Stacey was not charged.
Oh.
She was only charged for murder in the second husband.
Why didn't they charge for the first one? I mean, don't they have enough evidence to even bring it up?
They do, but in a lot of cases like this, they charge these things separately. So if the first one goes awry and they can't get her in jail or get a conviction, they bring up the second one.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like the first string and the second string.
Yep.
On March 5th, 2009, at Stacey's sentencing, Chief Assistant District Attorney Christine Garvey asked Judge Fahey to impose the maximum consecutive sentences because of the brutality of David's death. Further, he criticized how Stacey Castor had, quote, partied in her backyard with friends like nothing was happening, end quote, as Ashley was comatose in her room.
Wow.
Quote, She is cold, calculating, and without any emotion for what she has done. Human life is sacred. Stacey Castor places no value on human life, not even on her own flesh and blood. To Stacey Castor, human beings are disposable.
Yeah.
End quote.
Wow. That's severe.
David's son, whom Stacey had cheated out of his will, the $300,000,
Right.
pled with Judge Fahey for Castor to be severely punished. Quote, Your Honor, Castor is a monster and a threat to society, he said. She has created so much pain and death with this, creating multiples of pain and death in the families of those she has hurt. End quote.
Good for him.
Judge Fahey told Castor he'd never seen a parent attempt to murder their child in order to set their child up for a crime they themselves committed.
Yeah.
And he declared Stacey Castor, quote, in a class all by herself, end quote.
She pretty much set the bar.
She really did.
Wow.
I don't know if she set it low or high.
I think she's
low for being a parent,
Yeah.
high for being a bag of dicks. She's awful.
She is.
She's awful.
Yep.
He sentenced her to the maximum of 25 years to life for the murder of David Castor and to another 25 years for the attempted murder of Ashley. And for forging David's will, he ordered Castor to serve an additional 1 to 3 years in prison.
Wow. Okay. Well, are all of those served consecutively or?
They are not concurrent. They are consecutively.
Okay.
So 51 years to life is what she got.
Nice.
The trial lasted 4 weeks, and an emotional Ashley told the judge during her victim impact statement that she hated her mother for, quote, ruining so many people's lives, end quote, but she still loved her for the bond she originally had with her.
Sure.
My heart goes out to those girls.
Yeah. I mean, that's just a tough place to be.
She said, quote, I never knew what hate was until now. Even though I do hate her, I still love her at the same time. That bothers me. It is so confusing. How can you hate someone and love them at the same time? I just wish that she would say sorry for everything she did, including all the lies. As horrible as it makes me feel, this is goodbye, Mom. As hard as you tried, I survived, and I will survive because now I'm surrounded by people that love me. I'm going to do good things in this world despite making me, in every sense of the word, an orphan.
Wow.
End quote.
Gee whiz.
Good girl, Ashley.
Yeah. Stacey's got to live with that for the rest of her life.
Yeah. So sentenced to 51 years to life, she would spend the rest of her days at the Bedford Hills Correctional Facility for Women in Westchester County, New York, because on June 10th, 2016, Stacey Castor died in her cell alone from heart failure.
Oh, man. That's ironic.
All alone.
Wow.
Yep. Interestingly enough, David Castor's son had his father's body removed from the grave. Stacey buried him where he's right next to the first husband that she murdered.
Yep.
He has since been laid to rest in Pine Plains.
Wow.
Stacey went to her dying day saying that she was innocent.
Yeah, of course she did.
I didn't do it. I am innocent.
Yeah. Don't look at everything that pointed to me. Don't look at all the evidence that I left behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bless her heart.
Gee whiz.
I'm innocent.
Yeah.
Everything they have against her.
I don't even want to bless
It's
her
not
heart.
me.
I don't even want to bless her heart.
I don't either. But can you see why at the beginning I said if there wasn't a murder,
Gee whiz.
we would be able to say, bless her heart. Bless her heart.
What a bonehead.
And everybody, please call it antifreeze.
Yeah.
Don't associate yourself with this woman who calls it antifree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Antifreeze is just what's going on in the world. There ain't nothing free.
Exactly. Oh, Lord.
But that is the story of Stacey Castor, and that's all I have to say about that. Hey, Hitched to Homicide listeners. Have you read any good books lately? Or have you listened to any good books? All of the Sex and Lies series books, as well as the Jane Doe series, are available on Audible and iTunes. Hotter than hell in half of Alabama, the Sex and Lies series begins with Sex, Lies, and Sweet Tea. There are 9 books to listen to in that series alone. Left as a newborn to die in a dumpster, she has no name. Tossed from foster home to foster home, she has no family. With no known past, she's deemed a perfect fit for a task force Washington denies exists. A selective assassin for the United States government, Jane Doe tracks down known terrorists on domestic soil. The Jane Doe books have been called a bit military, a bit assassin, and a bit genius. Start the new year by listening to a good book by me, Chris Calvert, on Audible or iTunes. Or if you'd like to read, go to chriscalvert.com and download some free books. And thanks for being a listener of Hitched to Homicide.
Wow. Stacey, I mean, it's just mind-boggling, or as Will Ferrell would say, mind-boggling.
It's mind-boggling.
It is mind-boggling that she would sacrifice her own daughter. I mean, it's beyond anything that I can comprehend. That's just amazing.
Yeah, in order to, she wants to kill her daughter in order to continue living her life.
Right, and then when her daughter lives, then she's anyway.
Yeah, she's still trying to pin it on anybody but her. Yeah. It's not me. It's not mine. It always makes me think of Shrek. When Puss in Boots gets pushed up against the wall, they start frisking him. And they find catnip. And he goes, that's not mine. It's not mine.
Yeah, exactly.
That's Stacey Castor.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not me. Yeah. I didn't do that. None of this is me.
Well.
Not me. None of it's me.
Well, let's go to some people that actually deserve a bless your heart.
Okay, let's do it.
Well, bless your heart.
All right, this week I'm doing something a little special, a little different. I have
oh no!
I have spanned the Hitched to Homicide In-Laws and Outlaws page, and I have found four bless your hearts, and I'm going to announce the names of the people who contributed these
straight from the mouths.
Yeah.
Of our family, right. From the in-laws and outlaws.
All right, so number one, and this is from our in-laws and outlaws, this is Melissa Bybee Fields.
All right, Melissa.
And she wrote, "We take our Hot Pockets seriously here in Kentucky." Louisville, Kentucky. Man shot roommate in Louisville for eating last Hot Pocket, police say.
Yeah.
The Louisville Metro Police Department arrested 64-year-old Clifton Williams on Sunday after they said he shot his roommate following an argument in the Wyandotte neighborhood. Yeah, police said that Williams' roommate had eaten the last Hot Pocket, so he started throwing tiles at him.
Yeah.
Arrest slips say that the roommate tried to leave, but Williams went inside, got a gun. The man was shot in the buttocks as he was trying to leave, according to the police. The victim traveled a few blocks to get help and was taken to the U of L hospital to be treated for non-life-threatening injuries. Williams is being charged with assault and has been ordered not to have contact with his victim. His bond was set at $7,500, and they should add $595 for more Hot Pockets. I added that one.
There is a picture. He looks very pleased that he got that last Hot Pocket.
Oh, man.
And then when I read that he was shot in the buttocks, it made me think of Forrest Gump. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. I heard that was $1 million wound, but I ain't seen any of that money.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, number two. This is from, and I apologize if I mispronounce his name. I'm going to do the best I can. Number two, from our in-laws and outlaws, Rushton D'Airley DeBrown.
All right, Rushton.
Yeah. And I'm calling this More Than a Bun in the Oven.
Okay. Okay.
All right. This is Anderson County, South Carolina.
South Carolina.
You got it. Authorities in upstate South Carolina got quite the surprise during a recent traffic stop. The Anderson County Sheriff's Office says deputies initiated a traffic stop along Interstate 85 when the department's Special Investigation Division and directed patrol units were out conducting, quote, proactive patrol.
Proactive patrol.
Yeah, I don't know what that means, but, you know. Deputies pulled over two people, driver Anthony Miller and Kameka Mitchum. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Authorities say the first red flag began when the two gave conflicting information regarding Mitchum's due date.
Oh, okay.
Right, she was pregnant. The sheriff's office says in an online press release, as it became more apparent that deputies were becoming more suspicious, Mitchum took off running and very quickly drugs fell from the fake rubber stomach.
Oh, yes.
Deputies collected more than 1,500 grams of cocaine from the traffic stop. Miller and Mitchum are facing trafficking cocaine charges.
I think my comment to that was, well, that's unfortunate.
I hate it when that happens.
It's very unfortunate.
Yeah. All right, number 3. And this one's from our Hitched Homicide, In-Laws and Outlaws, Annette Burton Green.
All right, Annette.
Yep. And I'm naming this one, I Suddenly Lost My Appetite.
Okay.
Somerset. And I don't know where Somerset is. I'm assuming it's somewhere in Kentucky, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, a local man is back in the news just days after being asked to leave his favorite restaurant. Neil Ratcliffe, 43, of Somerset, was kicked out of a McDonald's in Somerset last week for eating shirtless.
Oh, yeah.
I always take my shirt off when I have lunch because I don't want the mustard or ketchup dripping down on my T-shirt.
No.
Says Ratcliffe.
No.
I'm a sloppy eater, I admit,
No.
but that's no excuse to be treated with such disrespect from restaurant management.
No.
Ratcliffe says he's now dining at Wendy's over the last week, and so far there hasn't been any issues. Quote, they let me eat without my shirt on, says the Somerset man. Nobody bothers me about it. I just sit there eating my cheeseburger in peace. The juices from the meat drip onto my bare belly, and nobody minds it at all.
Oh, stop.
Ratcliffe says he saved a fortune on dry cleaning bills in the process.
Stop. He's not dry cleaning anything. There's no dry cleaning bill. That man does not have a dry cleaning bill. What happened to no shoes, no shirt,
wait,
no service?
I almost done with this. Listen, this is a quote. I only wear expensive T-shirts, so now I don't have to worry about getting the stains removed. The only stains I have are on my body. This is and this is a developing story.
I've seen the body. There is a picture. If you're watching on YouTube, there it is.
Well, just the fact that he used belly should tell you everything right there. Yeah. Okay, number 4 from our In-Laws and Outlaws.
Okay.
And this is from Debbie Patton.
All right, Debbie.
And I'm calling this, You Can't Make This Up.
Okay.
Bridget Watkins, 43, of Summit, Arizona, who allegedly took fawns into her home and raised the deer with the intentions of training them to attack hunters, was taken into custody on Friday. At the time of
Wait. She trained attack deer? Like ninja deer or something?
Well, I think that was in her mind.
Oh, okay.
Okay. At the time of the arrest, Watkins was in possession of several grams of meth, 4 deer, and many stolen, broken electronics. Attention was drawn to Watkins when she began giving meth to the young deer, and they were caught rummaging through people's garages and back porches. Okay, a homeowner followed one of the deer back to Watkins' residence in an attempt to recover his property. It was then he found himself face to face with Watkins. Ready for it? Here it comes.
Okay.
Wearing only a duct tape bikini, disassembling his clock radio. Charges pending further investigation.
She made her own duct tape bikini?
Yes.
I'm just going to say it now. That's going to hurt coming off.
Oh, my gosh.
That's really going to hurt coming off.
I mean, there's that saying, necessity is the mother of invention, but that sounds like a really bad invention.
Yeah, I just want to know what the deer the messed up deer we're actually looking for in the garages.
They were trying to, find anything they could sell to support their habit.
So they're taking electronic equipment?
I don't know.
Or,
Who knows? This story is so whacked, I can't even begin to decipher it.
So thank you.
Yes, thank you to all of our in-laws and
Thank
outlaws.
you to all of our family in-laws and outlaws. These are the people you can be friends with online if you join the H2H in-laws and outlaws.
And be sure to keep posting those ridiculously stupid criminals.
Bless their hearts.
Yes.
And bless all of your hearts for posting them as well, in the good way. Well, if you have a bless your heart, you know somebody's heart who needs a blessing or needs to be put on the prayer list.
Yes.
Go to hitchedtohomicide.com. There's a pull-down menu. You can also suggest a case. We're actually going to do one next week. It's a case I have done before. We're coming up on the 27th year anniversary.
Oh, wow.
There's all kinds of new information. It's going to be a good one. One of the in-laws and outlaws actually requested that we do it again.
Nice.
So you say it, we listen.
Yes, we do.
That's all we have this week on Hitched to Homicide. That's my amazing husband out there.
That's my beautiful bride in the booth.
Join us next time.
Bye, y'all.